All right, architects, this episode of the Esports Architects Podcast is brought to you by Emerge Apparel. The esports landscape can be an overwhelming environment for directors of new esports programs, leagues, and teams just starting up. Let's be real. You can let Emerge take the burden of figuring out merchandising off your hands. You can host your team shop on their website, featuring custom logos and merch designs built by some of the most creative and experienced artists in the industry. I've seen them firsthand. They are so cool. Or, if you have your own design, you have to check out their 3D custom jersey builder. You can easily load in your brand's logos and have all merchandise printed and shipped on demand. Visit emergeapparel.gg and work with us to create your team shop today. Hello, architects, and welcome to the Esports Architects Podcast. I am your host, Bearlight, and today on this show, we talk Charlotte Phoenix Rocket League, and we also talk Carry2College, a.k.a. Stay Plugged In's recruitment event. We've got a lot of cool things on the docket here today. Joining me for the first topic and talking about Charlotte Phoenix, we've got Rick Suarez, and he's the director here of the Carolina Esports Hub, and he's with the Charlotte Phoenix that is under that umbrella. So, Rick, first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bear. Pleasure to be here as usual.
Yeah, and so obviously we have the Rocket League team coming back, RLCS coming back with their winter split, and so they have to get through qualifications first. They didn't do too hot the first time around when we talk about just the first event. But they really impressed when we talk about the second time around, the second event. So much improvement with such a young team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, for us, I thought it was pretty special just because we had gotten away from some of our older teams.
Sure.
And started fresh. You know, this was a new beginning, but by default, we wanted to bring in some kids that may not have had the same type of exposure or experience quite yet.
Sure.
And hopefully build off of that. And I think, thanks to our scouting department, you know, they were able to bring in, to your point, right, some special players that the first time through kind of were getting it together, starting to gel a little bit, but then in the second time, you know, the amount of enthusiasm and excitement that I saw from us that were watching the games and everything else was through the roof. Yeah. Me personally, being able to chat with them on occasion and so forth, super stoked for their future at the end of the day. You know, just super great people. They're in tune with what we're trying to accomplish here as a mission through the Phoenix, and they want to be a part of it. You know, we want to be the best. Our expectation is to win, but we know it takes time, it takes energy, it takes practice, it takes commitment, and I think they've got all those intangibles to help us get there.
Yeah, I think I was a little rough on them from the get-go. I just want to say they had 3 days of practice together as a team before they went into that first event, and so they were figuring things out, and they definitely came bringing the heat the second time around. So you'd love to have those individuals who are involved in the program and really truly believe in the mission. So it's definitely been awesome to see from them. But talk about a little bit about obviously finding these players. I know a little bit more about than you do since they came from the Stay Plugged In side of things. I know you've been filled in on the details there. So they've been a great group and bunch to kind of get to know. But talk about how impactful and awesome it is to have somebody like Jeff who can go out and find these players. He's so good at scouting and finding the right individuals that would fit that mission and really bring players on that believe in that mission.
Sure. I'm not going to praise Jeff at all in this because his head's big enough already. And I don't mean that literally. I just mean he's done such a great job behind the scenes, not just with this team, but a number of the things that we're working on behind the scenes. So kudos to him. But, you know, his vision is incredibly consistent with ours as a company. We want to recruit the best people and not always necessarily the best talent. And there's a big distinction between the two.
Sure.
You can develop the best people because they have the talent pool already, meaning they'll get better and better and better until they reach their peak. Sometimes when you recruit the best talent, it's not always conducive to the culture that we're trying to create here. So Jeff was able to find a little bit of both, right? They're super talented players, but they're great people too. So that's a critical component for any esports organization as you look to grow and pursue bigger and better things. We've got to all be on that same page. So Jeff not only was able to find that on the Rocket League side, he's actively looking at a variety of other titles. We've had some misses. He's brought other titles to my attention and other players that are now have gone on to much bigger and better things. He'll be the first one to remind me, so I had to say it before he reminds me. But we'll get there. We'll get there with other titles, other players as well. But I'm super excited for the background that these players have, obviously coming through Stay Plugged In a number of different tournaments and doing super well there to the point where now they're competing at an incredibly high level, playing, tier 1 orgs and beating a few of them, which is always good.
Definitely. So we covered on the first podcast that you didn't exactly come from an esports background. It's traditional sports. Now transitioning into esports, I know you've learned a lot over the past couple of years. And so obviously Stay Plugged In has always been something very special to you. And we're going to talk to Olin about Stay Plugged In and Carry2College specifically.
Awesome.
But I kind of want to dive into the details of and pick your brain about Stay Plugged In and how you're seeing it relate to Charlotte Phoenix as well, because obviously we want to cover the team. But maybe the differences you see between the collegiate and pro scene, and but also why is Stay Plugged In special to you, and how does that tie into the Carolina Esports Hub?
Sure. And it's funny you say I've learned a lot in the esports world. You probably forget more about esports in a night than I know today. But I'm getting there. Getting there, Bear.
Yeah.
For me, Stay Plugged In is special to me simply because of the perspective of being an advocate for the student who's super passionate about gaming, and a lot of people around them may not understand that fully, especially their parents. That's where I was, and that's why I started this business.
Yep.
So being able to get that parental support is such a critical component that I believe Stay Plugged In is trying to help provide or enhance that experience and exposure for those students to get, obviously, connectivity to colleges, but obviously, support from home, I think, is a critical component to that as well. But there's still distinct differences. Obviously, the collegiate level is incredibly special from a space perspective. There are teams out there that are just lights out. There's kids that we've had recruited that have gone on to win championships just recently, which, not a plug on Stay Plugged In, that's due to their talents, frankly. But the pro level is a whole nother animal. If you think of any sport, and I know we use the term traditional sports versus esports, it's really all sports. But in any sport, it's an incredibly difficult jump to go collegiate to pro. High school to collegiate is hard, but collegiate to pro it's a special animal. You have to have been born with some different skill sets, some intangibles that allowed you to be that much better than the person next to you, right? And it's a grind, as they call it. It's something that takes a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to get to that professional level, and that's why I'm proud of our team with the Phoenix, because that's what they're after, right? They put in the time, they have the energy, they put in the effort, they have the skill set, and I'm excited to see what this next round this year, really brings forth for them. But it's a different animal for sure.
It is. There's no doubt. And with this team, they have not yet made a main event yet. So let's say they make the main event. How are you celebrating?
Vegas, baby.
We both going? Am I coming to you? What do you think?
That's an all-inclusive trip for everybody.
Let's go.
No, hold on. Let me. Can we erase that?
He's
hold
within
on a
earshot.
Hey,
he's within
erase
earshot.
that. No, kidding. To me, that's a win for the player.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, knowing what they're putting into this on a consistent basis, knowing who they are.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm selfish. I want the organization to do well. I want it to explode and be incredibly relevant as a national brand, as opposed to just here in our hometown. But I want that for the player, all three of them. I would love for them to get to that level, because I know the time and energy it takes just to get to where they are today. So to get over that hurdle is an incredibly cool experience, and I want them to get there.
Love it. Well, Rick, thank you so much for talking to me about Charlotte Phoenix Rocket League. If you want to check out the closed qualifiers, should the Charlotte Phoenix Rocket League team make it that far, it would be on Sunday, and that's the 29th of this month. You can check it out at twitch.tv/CLT Phoenix GG. That's CLT Phoenix GG. I'll be on the cast for that, so super excited about that. And let's bring on Olin. He's going to talk to us about C2C and Stay Plugged In, the big recruitment event coming up around the corner. All right, everybody, you got Olin here with me to talk some Carry2College on the Stay Plugged In side of things here. Olin, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, Bearlight. How are you?
Good. And so you haven't been on the podcast prior, so tell us a little bit about yourself in general and also what you do here at the Hub.
Yeah, so I'm currently a digital media manager with Stay Plugged In and Carolina Esports Hub in partnership. Basically, I control the voice and all the content going out on the Stay Plugged In social media channels, whether that be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You get the deal. And then kind of just control the announcements and get everything going for the events that are coming up, and then interview players and college coaches, and just get as much content as we can forward facing so that college coaches can see the players and vice versa.
Definitely. And how long have you been with the hub as well?
Good question. This is 3 months coming up. Yeah, so fairly new.
Awesome. And you talk about your experiences so far with the hub, and obviously you're not actually here in the offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I'll talk a little bit about your experiences that you've had so far with the crew, some funny stories, just regular day-to-day tasks, whatever you want to cover as far as your experience goes here with us.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually kind of have a unique situation. I found Stay Plugged In originally from Missouri Baptist University, where I was a social media manager there, content manager, kind of same situation that I am with Stay Plugged In now. Only I was on the collegiate side there, and I was assisting my head coach with getting recruits and signing them on to Missouri Baptist. And so the name was familiar, and then I left the collegiate side, and then a couple years down the road, Stay Plugged In was hiring. Hey, they may remember me, so applied and got the position. So I had known about the company and kind of had a I guess knowing of the processes before coming in, and so I kind of slid in really well, and the puzzle piece fit perfectly, and I'm enjoying the job right now. I love college esports. I love esports as a whole. And so just getting to work in and day out with people who, share similar feelings and only want to grow the brand is incredible. Some funny stories, just probably my first day, I got added to like 7 different Discord channels, and I'm overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to keep up with all of these. It's so many. When in all reality, it's really not that bad. The communication is incredible here. One person who I love to interact with is Blasky. He is a wild card of a human being, and every conversation I have with him, I'm crying laughing at the end of it. So
And the thing is, they almost left Blasky out of the last podcast. You got to go back and watch episode 1
yeah,
as they were calling out everybody. I had to be like, hey, and Blasky too. I know he's a wild card, but listen, he's here too. Well, apparently you made enough of a mark with us to land the job, so that's awesome too. But
yeah, no, super fortunate.
definitely. Let's talk C2C, because obviously that's the topic at hand here. What is C2C? Number one, it is Stay Plugged In's premier recruiting event online. So obviously Stay Plugged In runs LANs. We covered that last time. So live events where these kids come in, right? And the experience from start to finish is a recruitment event, right? You have college fairs. They're live at LANs where you compete as well in the bracket. But at the end of the day, you get to talk to colleges and really drive home that recruitment piece, which is so cool to see. And in Carry2College, just imagine an online version of that. What are you excited about here? Because I know you've gotten to live through at least one Carry2College here with us.
Yeah, so I was really surprised when I came into the role. Carry2College I was thrown in. Hey, biggest event of the year. We're here right now. So I got to experience Carry2College fall, and it was right. It was incredible. The coaches are so passionate, and the kids are wanting to compete at a high level and doing everything they can to make sure that coaches notice them. So from a spectator point of view, it's the highest form of competition you're going to see from potential collegiate esport athletes, and it's so cool to see, and like I said, the passion just shows. And then also being on the broadcast and talking with like-minded people, like we had a couple casters come in, and then I got to interact with you a lot on the show, and you could just I'm gonna keep using the word passion, but that's truly what it is. I think Carry2College shows how much everyone cares about the scene and the impact and the mission of Stay Plugged In and CEH in effect there. I think it's just a true testament to what we're doing, what our mission is.
Definitely. And we were just confirming with Nick, he's one of our recruitment specialists, which, if you don't know, with Stay Plugged In, as a platinum member for a student who's looking for this, it's $5 a month. That's it. And you get people like Nick or Suave, as you probably know him in the Discord channel if you've heard about us, and but he talks you through the process. So if you kind of get stuck along the way, or even if you just want a little bit of advice on the side, right, he's there to do that and help you out. But Nick just confirmed with me because he works with the colleges too, and he just confirmed that over 35 colleges will have their own personalized Discord channel within the player Discord during Carry2College. So that way they can interact one-on-one and have those conversations firsthand. It's pretty cool to see.
And what a huge asset that is. I feel like it's kind of a underlying, asset that we add to Carry2College. Now, I think it was originally started in the fall, Carry2College. Am I correct in that?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, college fairs only happen, maybe once or twice a high school year, right? And the fact to have that virtually, and you can talk to, I mean, you just said 35 coaches virtually across the nation. Like it's an incredible thing that's going on.
And Carry2College really reaching out to all types of players too. Let's get into a little bit about the format of what Carry2College is from a player's perspective, because you know their thoughts pretty much in a couple of places. Number one, how do I show off to the colleges? Number two, what does that format look like? So we have and have opened it up to a multitude of different ways that you can compete. I know, obviously, for me, playing video games, I'm a sweat. I'm going to be honest, right? I like that competitive nature. So the open play would be the best for me, because that's where you go up against all sorts of skill levels from start to finish, right? For a prize pool that's a little bit higher, but you have to go up against all of these incredible teams. So I think it's very important for the players to understand. You see the $2,000 prize pool for your title in the open play, and you're like, oh, I'm going to play in that one instead. Listen, there's some highly skilled individuals. The next CRL stars, if you're talking about Rocket League specifically, which is in my heart, are going to be in that competition. So I think it's definitely important for players to understand as well that maybe divisional play is where it's at for players. Players at my standing currently, like let's say Champ 2 for Rocket League,
Right.
the divisional play is a little different. All you have to do is win against your group of 8, which is, I mean, still a little bit difficult, but you still get $100 at the end of the day for winning out on your division. But the real focus of that is to show off your skills against players that are very similar skill as you. So it's really pick which way that you want to go with it, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the main goal in mind for these students is to definitely show off, what they've got to the coaches, right? The prize pool and the money's nice at the end if you win. But the hard fact of the matter is only one team's gonna win, and so you can't put all of your hope into that $2,000 prize pool. You need to kind of evaluate and realize what's going to be best for you in the long run. And if that divisional play is what you're going to do, then go for it.
So you've been speaking to a lot of the colleges, you've said recently, and so I kind of like your insight when talking to these colleges. What do they like to see? Number one, in Carry2College as a whole, but also, the event as a whole, but also what do they look for in recruits from your experience? So that way players coming in might know or find out, how they might approach the situation.
Yeah. So from what I've gathered, one-on-one communication is the biggest factor that you can have as a recruit coming in. Just being able to talk efficiently to a college coach and express what you're wanting out of the program, and maybe tell them, yeah, I'm really looking for this. Is there anything you can meet me in the middle on? They'll have that conversation with you. They are wanting to talk to you. No one's going to turn away from a conversation here. Especially in-game communication goes hand in hand with that. They want you to be a team player. You're going to be playing for their team at the end of the day, hopefully, right? And so they're looking for that in-game communication, that leadership, that they want that person to best represent their program as much as possible. And so they're going to be looking for any personality trait that goes hand in hand with that.
I think some students get a little bit timid whenever they're talking to colleges and don't feel like it's the right place for them. And I think it's almost better to just kind of, say, hey, actually, I know it's better to say, hey, I'm not interested, with your school. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to look elsewhere, because that shows, number one, that you have the presence of mind to let them know, right? So they can go and pursue other players, so it helps them, but also it helps you out in your look, because you go out and look somewhere else, and maybe the director moved to a different school, and then you're looking at that school, but you ghosted them at another school. So they're going
Right.
to look elsewhere for players. I think it's very important for them to really own up and just say it. It's not that difficult.
Uh-huh.
Just say, hey, I'm not interested in your school, and I think that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you wanna. It goes back to the communication, just being as honest, and sometimes honesty is brutal. And just keeping your options open, and understanding that you are looking for a college to pursue education at, as well as compete in esports. I was a former collegiate athlete years ago, and what the one saying that my coach always came back to is, you are a student athlete first and foremost. You are a student, and then you are an athlete. So you're going to be pursuing an education first, and you want to make sure that's where you're comfortable.
That's very great stuff here. I appreciate you joining us on the podcast. Of course, Olin, hopefully will be able to join me here in the C2C booth.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah.
Let's
Looking
go.
forward to it.
Nice. We have a couple of awesome announcements as well for C2C. So make sure you check out, of course, twitch.tv/stay plugged in. And that's going down, of course, on January. What are the dates on this?
We got January 21st and the 22nd, and that's going to be Rocket League and Overwatch 2. And then we got February 4th and 5th, and that's going to be the Riot series. It's going to be Valorant and League of Legends.
Awesome. 11 different streams, by the way. And that's where you can find the main channel. Olin, thank you again for joining me here.
Thank you, Barrett.